Hey everyone. I recently had my girlfriend play Half-Life Alyx, and it was one of the first times she had ever taken the time to play a video game. You see, my girlfriend is not a gamer. She often finds herself bored with standard video games. This is boring to you.
This is awful.
What do you hate about it?
I'm just running.
But with VR, she tends to be a little bit more patient, and it has caused her to find a deeper appreciation for immersive storytelling. She enjoyed her time with Half-Life Alyx, and so did YouTube. So I decided to make another video, except this time I had her play Resident Evil 4.
Came off! It won't open! Maybe it's a push. It's a push.
I wanted to gather a little bit more data from this experiment, so my girlfriend and I had our roommate Pearl play as well.
Oh, they have weapons. They have weapons. Oh, I have to reload it.
Pearl is a game art major, and unlike Dee, she's actually played video games before.
Hi, I'm Pearl. I have little to no experience in VR games. I have also never played Resident Evil, but I'm a game artist and I love playing PC games.
I would like to say right now that neither Deanna nor Pearl had a very enjoyable experience.
Where did he come from? I think they killed me again.
And I have a lot of negative things to say about how RE4 onboards new players. This doesn't change the fact that I love this game, but after watching VR noobs play, I need to say that RE4 VR should not be your first VR experience.
How much longer do I have to play? There's another person. Please stop.
Especially if you're new to gaming or VR as a whole.
This game was overwhelming. There was a lingering feeling of confusion and uncertainty that blinded me from important gameplay moments, or so Quinn says at least.
Oh, he's still alive! Slice of outside! No! I'm out of here! How do I get it in there? I'm in a tree!
There was nowhere to hide, and the moment I thought I got away, there was another monster human thingy hiding around the corner, and there were a lot of corners. Don't even get me started on my defense system against the monsters. First off, I should not have been allowed to run out of gun juice.
I'm out of ammo. Oh!
Very annoying, very rude. Secondly, the knife.
Don't follow me!
That was the second most useless tool ever given to me. The most useless was the bug spray.
What in the eye?
I honestly forgot that I had that.
I second that, but I found this game to be a bit less overwhelming than Deanna did.
Pearl is lying.
Do I have to touch the keyboard thing?
Okay, so I got scared a few times, but once I figured out the situation and assessed my options, I was able to maintain some sort of competence.
The first time I played this game, I was also overwhelmed, but I knew exactly how to navigate the player inventory and weapon systems. Granted, I knew exactly what to expect because I played this game back when it was on the GameCube.
I'm awesome.
Even with that prior experience, it took me more than a few tries to get through the first village section, as it's meant to be difficult. I feel that though this is a great introduction to how intense RE4 can be, it doesn't make the game easy to grasp for new players.
Yeah, as a game artist, I am taught that there needs to be difficulty ramping. It needs to be linear, not exponential. But RE4 goes from 0 to 100 in the first 5 minutes.
As a new player, I was confused. Once the game actually started, I wasn't exactly sure where to go. There weren't any clear indicators.
Why do I hear people and I don't know where they are? Oh, I know where they are!
And when the action started, I didn't even feel remotely prepared. If I was in a larger playing space, I think I would have actually physically run away from the scary mean people. Thankfully, once again, the wall came to my rescue to ground me in reality.
I don't have ammo!
The biggest thing I struggled with was not really understanding how to use my weapons. I guess if I played more games, I would have been able to figure it out, but the amount I struggled with a shotgun was honestly so sad. Which means my struggle has now become your entertainment.
I'm out of... I don't know what to do.
Watching someone else play made me realize how much I had missed, like the gun juice. I thought I was out of ammo, but in reality, I didn't really know how to reload.
I wouldn't say that this is Deanna's fault. Virtual reality opens the door for multiple new types of players, and for someone like my girlfriend who finds VR infinitely more engaging, now has the opportunity to experience video games in a whole new way. I think that with the pull that VR media has, we as developers need to do a better job at introducing players to our game systems.
Well, I'm swinging it, but it's not doing anything.
For starters, I think navigation is the most important aspect of the game, because the moment I feel like I'm lost or confused, I just want to give up. So when I couldn't find more ammo, and I was forced to use a stupid knife, it honestly made me want to quit. I didn't have the skill set to use something like the knife, and I wish they had introduced the weapons gradually rather than all at once. That might have helped ease my anxiety.
I got a lot of weapons. Oh my god, why is it so big?
That's what she said.
For the sake of content, I tried to use the knife too. Did I? I just ended up using the gun because it was easier. I swear, they were multiplying before my eyes. I thought I was done and then I saw 5 more appear.
Oh, there's someone behind me too. Oh, there's a lot of people, huh?
I am fully convinced the plants were from Wally. Prove me wrong. But the only items I actually picked up were the plants, even though I didn't know why I was picking them up. My biggest issue was that I kept getting turned around though. Unfortunately, I think that's because I panicked and smashed buttons on the controller, and the button of choice at the time was the teleporting trigger.
Oh my god, she threw that at me! Oh, how did I get closer? I think I'm accidentally pressing buttons.
I didn't even know where I was taking myself, I was just going.
After looking over her gameplay footage, we can see that there were indeed indicators telling her to pick up and use certain items, but the game did not exclusively tell her how to do this in the tutorial, so she failed to notice them. For example, she did not know that the indicators coming from the corpses of her enemies were ammo and other helpful items, and naturally she ignored them. The same thing happened for the ammo crates and even the typewriter. She didn't notice the save icon, and instead her first intuition was to activate the bell on the side of the object. When nothing happened, she moved on without saving. Every time she was introduced to an integral system, she was also getting attacked by ganados, which completely stole her focus.
So can I shoot him from up here? Oh, what is... Oh, they blew me up!
For me, it was really painful to watch, and I kept thinking, why the hell did they not show her how to do this in the tutorial? I see this as the game failing to provide new players with vital information. Keep in mind that while these gameplay elements are obvious to a person who has played Resident Evil, it isn't to someone like my girlfriend who hasn't. VR appeals to a wider audience, and for some individuals, RE4 VR was their first experience with a Resident Evil game. I think that the developers relied too heavily on players' prior knowledge of the title, so they assumed that players would automatically know what to do during gameplay, which is not always the case.
There's one thing that could have resolved all these situations, and that is giving the player, me, the ability to stop for a moment and breathe. Because I never really had the chance to get my bearings and appreciate the world design, which is the main reason I play these games.
This is a problem. RE4 is intense, and because of this, my girlfriend never had a chance to familiarize herself with the controls or even take a breather, so she continued to make mistakes, making it impossible for her to get through the game.
I don't have any weapons!
Now that I've had a moment to come back to reality, there are a few things that, retrospectively, I really enjoyed, like the dog.
Oh my god.
Although he ran away without even a kiss to thank me or a good head pat.
Are you okay? Okay, bye.
This small and probably insignificant moment really caught my emotional sentiment, which is important if these video game developers want people like me to keep playing. If I don't understand my place in the world, then I don't want to play at all. Okay, so here's my girlfriend game score, and this one has a few extra parts this time. Immersion gets about a 5.5 out of 10. It felt really weird to be transported to the dungeon place to watch my character in the third person on the screen. It made me feel more as though I was controlling someone rather than playing as the character himself. But I have to admit, I did find myself quite immersed in the actual gameplay, even though I was tragically awful at fighting the angry mob.
Oh, they're coming! They're all coming! It's on me!
Part 2, the story. No offense, because I would imagine a lot of people like the story, but I would give it about a 4 out of 10. The intro was super long and boring, and even after all of that, I still wasn't exactly sure what the story was about. I really only remember them talking about umbrellas.
Umbrella, umbrella, umbrella.
I also wasn't sure what time period I was in, because I seemed like I was in an old castle, but then we were in a car, but I also had a weirdly futuristic technological watch. I don't really have a part 3, but I just wanted to comment on the times that I was killed. I hated that they had to point it out like that on the huge screen. Like, seriously.
I didn't mean to.
Did the font need to be that big saying you have died? Just fade the screen to black and let me try again. You don't have to tell me that I'm bad. I already know that I'm bad. Seriously, it gives flashbacks to my childhood, the Mario death scene, and the, oh no. truly traumatizing. So if you add all that up, this game gets about 6 ice cream scoops out of 10, and it doesn't get any sprinkles.
Why do I keep collecting plants? I feel like Wally. Oh my!
It's by no means the worst game I've ever played, but I won't play it again for the sheer fact that it actually scared the heck out of me, and I don't love killing things, even though I miraculously hit every headshot.
They're not dying.
But I am having fun jumping into these videos, so comment down below what other games you want to see me play in the future.
Here's my Roomie game score. Immersion, 8 out of 10. I thought the third person perspective was weird too, but the music and mood made up for it. Story, I don't care about it, 2 out of 10. Next. Dying.
Oh, I died. Oh, I was cornered.
That's all I gotta say about that. 5 out of 10. I give it 7 out of 10 gun juices. It's average. It didn't leave me going, wow, that's so cool, I want to keep playing it. I think there should be more onboarding love for the knife, spray can, and plants. It would be 6 out of 10, but me being able to jump out the window was cool, so +1.
I want to end this video with a few key takeaways for my VR developers in the audience, and these are things that I have learned not only from watching my girlfriend play, but from years of experience with playtesters failing to enjoy my own experiences due to similar onboarding mistakes. If you feel that a player will inherently know what to do in a VR game without first teaching them how to interact with your gameplay systems, you are setting yourself up for failure.
I don't like this game!
You never know what a player will do until you watch them play your game. And you should always include affordances for players who may not be as receptive to certain gameplay systems, especially if you're making a VR title. All of the mechanics that are integral to a good user experience should have been in that initial tutorial. Show them how to play your game rather than just throwing them into it, and for players who are more experienced, just give them the option to skip it. That right there would have solved 90% of the problems my girlfriend and roommate had while they were trying to play. Thank you all for watching, and an extra special thanks to my patrons. Last week I had 5, and when I checked this morning I had 20, which is just amazing. Thank you all so much for your support. If you haven't done my VR hand tutorial series yet, I would recommend you take a look, and for anyone considering joining the Patreon, I will be releasing my code for the VR hand template for my $10 tier soon. You'll just need to download it and it'll be a ready-to-go project. If you can't join, no big deal. The tutorials are free and you just need to do them. I'll see you guys in the next one.